Welcome to Stillwater Edge, the ultimate podcast for stillwater fly fishing enthusiasts. I'm your host, Greg Keenan, and in each short, action-packed episode, I'll share expert tips, essential techniques, and clever tricks to help you elevate your stillwater fly fishing game to the next level. Welcome to the Stillwater Edge podcast. I'm your host, Greg Keenan. I got a great show today, something that's kind of been on the topic and is a great debate amongst stillwater fly anglers, and that is, does fly line color actually matter? So we're talking about the color of the fly line. Some anglers swear that bright lines scare fish, while other anglers claim it makes no difference. I want to know what side of the fence you guys are on regarding this topic, so please leave a comment at the end of this show. But till then, I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm going to break it down and change your way of rethinking, and let's jump into it. So first of all, I had fun kind of investigating this and looking at this episode, and I did a poll on Instagram, and a lot of you guys actually said fly line color matters, and I'm going to point out some key tips where it does matter and it doesn't matter. But I think the biggest thing right now is to jump into understanding how fly line visibility is in still waters. And unlike rivers, where the water's moving and it has a broken water surface just due to the current and the ripples and the waves, right? And which offers reduced visibilities. Still waters is often in calm, clear water, and that is going to be, it's cleaner water, it's calm. So the fish have a better capability of seeing your fly line. Okay. That's kind of what I've determined between the two of them. And that's what I know, right? That's what you know. It's common sense, right? So, which meaning the fish can see your fly line more. However, in a river situation, if there's a dry fly or a hopper on top, a fish goes up in a river, goes up, grabs it, comes back down. They're always looking up. In a river, a fish is always looking up for its next meal. Boom, 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 boom. I mean, 90% of the time it's looking up, right? It's different in still waters. A fish looks horizontal. If you're fishing chironomids, they're down 20 feet. So they're not really looking up because they're right there. That's where the hatch is. They're just off the bottom. So they don't need to look up. That's the key in still waters. The fish respond differently. They do look up, but not nearly as much, right? Especially when you're fishing the dry, like a floating line, which is a high vis line, right? So does fly line color actually spook fish? Now that I've said that, I wonder. So the key factor isn't so much the color of the line, but how it's used. So a bright floating fly line over a fish can spook a fish. If you cast over a fish with a bright colored fly line, it can spook a fish. But guess what? So can a clear camo, so can a dull line, so can a sink tip, clear sink tip. That can spook a fish because it's more so the shadow or the movement than the color of the line that's going to spook that fish. Another thing that is key that can actually change how it is to the fish is your leader and your tippet material. This is way more critical than the line color because that's what's closest to the fish. That's what's going to spook a fish over a yellow floating line. That is a key thing. Having a thick, 50-pound leader on a chironomid is where the leader is thicker than the body of the chironomid. Is going to be a natural presentation and spook a fish more so than having a thinner leader. So fly line colors do matter. Having said all that, there is benefits because those people that are, I want to give you guys those people that are those 80% that feel like, hey, it matters. And I feel like in a clear situation where the fish are feeding high in the water column and on the surface, and the surface is glassy, a bright fly line can be more visible and it might create an unnatural contrast. Definitely, it could do that. Shallow water fishing, shallow water in clear shallow water, high visibility fly lines might alert the fish, especially if your fly line has a big C and it rips through the water. You have an unnatural movement. But again, is it the fly line color that did that, or was it the movement of the fly line that spooked the fish? Deeper water, fly line color doesn't really matter as much because the light penetration is lower. If you're going to fish deeper water, 9 times out of 10, you're fishing a sink line, which is always going to be a dark coated line just due to the coating and the tungsten putter and the proprietary materials that are in a sink line. They're just always dark. So, but when and where can a bright color fly line be an advantage? This was one of the things that I wanted to think of too, to support those that say, hey, fly line color matters because, there is points where it matters and it's an easy tracker. So I feel that fly line manufacturers, they're all in America. And since America heavily fishes rivers, that if I was to fish a river, I would actually want a bright colored fly line as opposed to a white fly line because my line, when I cast out and, you were tracing it in a river, you're chasing that drift, I wouldn't be able to see it. in a low light condition or anything like that, you just wouldn't be able to see that line. So like, how would you know when to mend? So a bright color fly line allows you to be able to mend, allows you to be able to track and trace your line. So that's the time where it matters. In still waters, I feel like it doesn't really matter as much as well, because again, the fish are feeding horizontal. Better casting accuracy. So if you were casting a gray fly line with a gray background or the sky color background, like, you're not going to be able to track or trace that. So if you're learning how to cast, or you say you're learning how to double haul and you're looking back, you'll be able to trace a bright orange or bright neon fly line much more easily than you would a natural color that's going to blend in with the sky. So you're going to be able to correct and fix your mistakes more appropriately on that. So that's a benefit, huge benefit, to where that bright color fly line comes in as well. So, and it's a great teaching aid as well. Like I just mentioned, you look behind and you can correct your mistakes, or you can see your line drip or drag, or, if your loop is tight, whatever it is, right? So it's a teaching aid to tell you, especially if you're new on still waters, like kind of where you're going wrong with your cast, and then improve upon that, right? Just by looking at the line during your cast or throughout your cast. All right, guys. So having said that, let's look at choosing the right fly line for your fishing stop. So if you're going to fish clear, shallow waters, and that's like your go-to, then yeah, having a more subtle gray or neutral color, clear tip or clear camo might be way more beneficial. But if you're fishing deeper waters with a floating line, 20-foot leader, naked line, it won't matter. It doesn't matter much. The fish aren't looking up at your line. They're looking at your fly. So there's not really an advantage to that. And the only advantage is making sure that you have that brighter line, because you'll be able to detect with the sighter on a fly on those lines, especially for the naked, that line going under. You'll be able to detect more strikes, right? And focus. I think the biggest thing is to focus more on presentation and leader and tippet choices, and stop stressing over fly line color. Hey guys, hopefully this sums it up a bit for you. It was a fun little episode. So does fly line color matter? The short answer, sometimes it does, but not nearly as much as good presentation, leader choice, and stealthy movement. If you fish properly, you can use a bright or dull colored fly lines effectively. It shouldn't matter. Focus on what really matters and don't overthink it, guys. If you found this episode helpful, make sure you subscribe to the Stillwater Edge podcast. Until next time, guys, let's have fun. I'll see you out on the water.